Hello, it's Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter here. Now, as you know, I collect fabric and I really like to recycle and repurpose fabric. And in particular, I've been collecting cottons for patchwork. Now, I also collect vintage Laura Ashley fabric. And of course, that goes back to the 1960s, 1970s. And one of the sources for me purchasing that is eBay. And I have a technique on eBay where I go on every so often and I'm looking to purchase fabric, not from the fabric line, but from the dresses line, and then repurpose the fabric from those dresses. There's a great deal of fabric in those dresses and they were very well made. Now, there is a technique that I use to try and grab a bargain, and I'll talk you through some of that here. But I want to show you some of the fabric that I acquired this week in linens, in cotton, and one surprise that came through, and I paid a maximum of £4 for each of these. It was anything from 99p to £4. So let me show you in a series of photographs and videos of what I bought, what the problems arose are, and how I hope to overcome it, and also how to grab yourself a bargain on eBay. First, let me show you this purple fabric that I've already broken down. This was from a dress, and I've got embroidered cotton, thin cotton lining, and a piece of acetate. That's thin acetate. These two will do for patchwork. This will do for any other lining or perhaps applique that I want to do. And this fabric cost me 99p plus postage. Let me show the item first. Laura Ashley clothing was brilliantly made. It's actually very difficult to break down the items because the darts and the seams are very well sewn, which means that you've got quality fabric and quality sewing before you begin. They're often lined, and the lining, like this one, is cotton that I can use as a foundation fabric. And this acetate, I can line anything with this or use it in applique. To me, that was well worth 99p plus postage. Using that technique, I managed to buy this Laura Ashley vintage cotton dress for 99p, and I paid £3.49 postage. Now, there's no way I'd be able to buy that in a charity shop for that. And these are colours and designs that I want to use in my quilts. Now, when you take a look at this, it is Laura Ashley and it states the sizing. Part of the problem with Laura Ashley is that the sizing was always very small. So somebody looking for clothing now, this would actually fit a UK size 8. Now, a UK size 8 might be somebody that actually doesn't like this type of style anymore. So it's no longer fashionable. It was. But somebody's not going to look at Laura Ashley and say, oh yeah, I'm going to wear that to a disco this weekend. And that's what I look for. When I look for and put my search engine, Laura Ashley dresses, I go to the sort section and filter and go from the lowest price first. And that way I look at the auctions that begin at 99p and I see, has anybody bid on it already? And what are the risk factors of somebody else bidding for this item? Well, the risk factors were quite low on this one. So I put a bid in at 99p, like the previous purple dress, and then put a, well, what would I pay maximum? Yeah, let's say £5.8p. But I won it at 99p because nobody else wants it. Now, the other assumption is that the person that's doing the listing knows exactly what they're listing. And sometimes they mislist an item. Either they get a word wrong in the title, they haven't got a camera that can photograph it very well. They don't take many photographs, and they don't get the detail of the content correct. Now, I'm delighted with this. There are quite a few darts in this dress that I've got to take apart. And when I actually look at it, the fabric is extremely interesting. Look at all the detail in the fabric, but you can see my hand through it. This means that this is really thin cotton and is going to need a stabiliser behind it for me to use it. It isn't lined, but all the way through there are features in the dress that need unpicking. I wonder if you can see there's a very deep hem, and there are darts all the way up that, if they're folded, I can unpick that fabric and fold out the fabric. There's some detail around the neckline that I'm not going to be able to use. And on the back, again, we've got darts all the way back and then flares. And there's also pockets on that. So that's a great deal of fabric that I can use for 99p. Something somebody else didn't want is just perfect for me. Let me talk to you about 2 items that I bought that were linen dresses. First of all, let me show you the linen dresses, and then I'll show you how I've broken it down. I've finished one and I'm in the middle of breaking another one down now. First, let's have a look at the dress. This is it once I've unpicked it, and there's a huge amount of linen here. I paid £2.99 for this dress, and I think it was because the style is just something that somebody didn't want. I think it's just not considered fashionable. The colour is absolutely great, and I've also got all these extra strips. These are strips I've separated because they've got interfacing attached to them, or the seams that I haven't taken apart. There's a wide belt, and I keep those as extras. So all that linen has cost me £2.99 plus postage and packaging. Just like the blue dress, this red linen dress was obviously out of favour. I was able to get this one for £1.99. There's a huge amount of fabric here for £1.99, and this is good quality linen. Now, I haven't completed taking this dress apart. There are a lot of seams and folds and darts in this one, but there are large areas of fabric that are unaffected. There are huge pockets. There are belts. I'm going to go a long way with that fabric. Why did it sell for £1.99? I don't know, but I'm glad it did. On eBay, it's the seller's responsibility to list the item correctly. And there's one item that was listed as cotton that I put a bid on at £4, and it's arrived today. When I excitedly opened up the parcel, I was actually disappointed that it wasn't cotton. Let me show you it, and I'll show you what I've got instead. The person selling this on eBay listed it as cotton, and because of that, and it's not cotton, I could actually return it if I wished for a full refund. But I'm not going to do that. Let me show you why. It's a lovely green dress with beading and zip fastening. Now, when I got it home, I thought, that doesn't feel like cotton to me. It looked like cotton on the photographs, but it's not. It's actually a beautiful polyester satin lining, and this top layer, which is soft and floaty, is silk. So am I daft enough to return a silk item because it's not cotton. No, I'm not. So I'm going to keep that. I'll take apart the zip, the beads, all the lining, all of that silk, and I'll use that in a project in a different way. And I might even gift some to a friend because I think she'll be able to use some silk. Can you imagine that in applique? For leaves, in a garden, a fish perhaps. I can think of numerous ways I can use that. So rather than returning that and cause hassle, I'm going to keep it. So I'm turning a negative into a positive. I give them positive feedback actually, but I could have got my money back because the eBay lister hadn't listed it correctly. So it does take time and effort. It takes time to go through the listings, deciding on what your budget is and what risk factors you're going to take. Work in the cost of postage, but I haven't spent any money on diesel or petrol or car parking charges. The money hasn't gone to a charity shop, which I like to support. But for something like £10, I've got all that fabric from 5 items. I'm going to sit and unpick all of that. That takes time and effort. And this is what most people don't do. They haven't got the time and effort, and I have. And I'm prepared to do it as well. So if you decide on a brand and you know that their fabric range is really good, and you know that that brand will have a lot of fabric within the item that you buy, these are ladies' dresses, not men's shirts that I've normally been looking for. I'm going to add all these Laura Ashley vintage fabrics now to my collection. And at some point, I might show you that collection. Would you like a video on that in the future? Come back and watch me for that, won't you? I've got ideas, particularly of what to do with that linen. I have a feeling that they might be turned into, let's have a think, an Irish chain quilt perhaps? Come back soon and see me again and see what I do with them all. Meanwhile, this is Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter. Bye for now.